Hello and welcome to Flagstaff TV. Today we are joined by Paul Griffiths, CEO of Predator Oil and Gas. Paul, thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure, Catherine. Thank you very much for giving us the time.
Thank you. Please, could you start by giving us an update on how the Rigless testing operations at the MOU-3 well are progressing?
Okay, so firstly, the larger perforating guns, which we've never used before because we've never had access to them, actually worked and perforated into the A sand. So that was a positive. Also, we had nitrogen at the site, and nitrogen is important for lifting out whatever is in the well and collecting samples, so to know what you've actually perforated. We've never had that before. And the other factor to consider is this is actually the first time throughout our two previous testing programs using sandjet and smaller guns that we're actually convinced that we perforated the formation. So it's the first test, if you like, of any of the sands in the MOU-3 well. So that's why it's important and relevant. The nitrogen was important because we never had that last year, and it lifted out samples at the bottom of the well, and that included some very fine-grained sand, which was matched with the well cuttings through the A sand, but it also included mud and mud filtrate, and the density got lighter and lighter until it reached the original density of the mud that went into the formation when we started drilling the well. So this is the first time we've got real data to demonstrate formation damage and to demonstrate how potentially we can get around that. For 2 years, people have been telling me, "Oh, it's not formation damage." As drillers will always tell you, there's no formation damage. Geologists might see otherwise. Wireline logs are rubbish when you drill into formation damage. But the important thing is now we've proven there's formation damage. We're very close in the A sand to getting through the formation damage, which is why we've left it shut in, although the pressures are low at this shallow level, allowed it to pressure to potentially build up over time to see if the reservoir gas can break through this last bit of formation damage into the wellbore. So overall, it's positive. Of course, it's disappointing that we didn't flow gas at this first shot, but I'm very happy, well, not happy, but I'm very relieved to have demonstrated the formation damage, which allows us the way forward, and that's very important.
So, Paul, would you say that that was the main issue at the well then, formation damage?
Formation damage was not only the main issue at MOU-3, but every single well, because every single well was drilled overbalanced, every single well. And, to be fair, you have to consider the fact that we had no historical data in this particular area. No well had been drilled before in this area. So the natural assumption the starting point was, well, it's like Rab Basin. And it is like Rab Basin geologically, but there are certain conditions that are different in terms of the different nature of the sands and the different nature of the pressures and the fact these sands are very, very, very fine grained. So that's a learning curve, which we would never have been able to preempt pre-drill. So, you've got to make some excuses for what happened before, but we've moved on from that. We made a major advance this time. We know what we have to do. We still may be able to perforate other intervals. Now we know what the formation damage is. But the reality is we want to drill a new well to 950 meters, properly engineered, drilling it as close to on balance as possible, giving the well maximum chance to flow gas into the well and on test. And the point I would make is prior to drilling MOU-3, when we were drilling down to the casing point at 795 meters, we were drilling that and gas was coming into the well. We couldn't stop the gas coming into the well. So in order to set the casing at 795 meters, we increased the mud weight by just 8%. And that cut off all gas into the well. So you don't have to move that mud weight much to stop gas flowing into the well. So now we know that we can drill as close to balance as possible, allowing for fine-grained sand to allow every opportunity for the gas to flow without suffocating it potentially with drilling mud.
So would you say that the issues have now been resolved?
Yes, I would say let's say the issues of formation damage and confirming formation damage, which we already suspected, that part of it has been resolved. The next part of it is to be able to drill a well that actually does not have formation damage, and therefore that still carries a little bit of risk because we haven't done it yet. But we know from when we drilled MOU3 that we can drill a well at the right kind of mud weight to actually get gas shows and gas flowing into the well. So that's the rationale for the next well, 950 meters. We also not drilling deeper, so we don't get into the section that is very unstable to control whilst drilling, so we don't have to weight up the mud even more to keep the well bore integrity intact. So the other positive of that is that with the recognition of formation damage, which everybody now, at least at our site agrees, every service contractor, every our team, all agree now formation damage was the issue. And they all agree that effectively that can be overcome when we drill the next well. And for that reason, we're all pretty optimistic still, more optimistic based on science, that we still have the gas in place. The figures have not changed. Everything is still there as it was pre-testing back in 2023. It's taken a long time to get to this point, but I think you have to understand there's two reasons for that. One is we had no geological database or drilling database to refer to understand what was going on. And two, every single operation in Morocco takes time because material have to be imported, etc. The only reason why we got the big guns this time was Schlumberger had about 3.4 meters of perforating gun in stock of their own. If we had to have imported that, it would take 4 to 6 months. Mainly because of all the documentation you require to put it on a plane to import it. So, we were lucky in that respect, but it's ticked a box finally, which we haven't been able to tick previously. And for the avoidance of doubt, we would never, ever use smaller guns or even Sandjet ever again because they haven't demonstrated that they can perforate the formation.
Have your findings affected how you will approach the new MOU6 well?
So you were going to drill that from the MOU3 location. We're going to drill that to maximum depth of 950 meters, and we're going to make sure we drill through all the sands that we found between 339 meters and close on 900 meters in MOU3 that had gas shows, and most importantly in the logged part of the section, because not the show section wasn't logged, in the logged part of the section, make sure that we can drill those sands on balance to give us the best chance. You have to remember we did collect gas samples whilst drilling MOU3, so the question is, the gas is there. It's just it was managed to be, if you like, super glued off with the drilling process. So there's no blame attached to that because hindsight is a great virtue, but the learning curve is very, very important in this instance. The other thing I probably should add is, I forgot to add, is that when we drilled MOU4, we went through 21 meters of what NewTek calculated as net gas pay, but we didn't get any shows. So we dismissed that as a NewTek aberration, if you like. But NewTek uses AI to create logs behind formation damage to predict what might be there from the available data. So now we know that that section probably is gas bearing. So we have new gas resources and a new gas prospect in MO4 that we didn't know about, mainly because that section was drilled over 8% overbalanced again with the mud weight. So it didn't have a hope in hell of flowing gas into the well.
Paul, finally for today, do you have any other updates that you would like to share with us?
Yes, I think two things. One is the key word is perseverance. As I was wandering around the site, because there's not a lot to do in Guernsey when you're testing. It's more interesting when you're drilling and talking to people. They were all saying that they admired our perseverance, that we weren't going to give up. And I guess that's our motto. We're not going to give up because we're not even at a stage of giving up because we've had, a couple of setbacks in the testing. Far from it. All the fundamentals are there. The infrastructure is there. The gas pricing is there. The cheap drilling is there. The fiscal terms are there. All the access to markets is available. And that's all substantiated by the fact that we've signed a collaboration agreement with a party who I can't announce who it is at present, but they were at our site surveying the land and the site and the roads, etc., for distribution for a certain development option, and they were impressed. They impressed by a whole operation, by the fact, the nature of the site, the closeness to infrastructure, our ability to even be creative in terms of thinking. People like to write off MOU5, but we have a new Triassic play underneath MOU5. We found salt. Salt is important for salt caverns and gas storage. They even got interested in the concept of gas storage from the Margaret pipeline. So we're building a nice relationship here. Testing and flowing gas is critical. We know that. But we do that, and then the door opens to all kinds of possibilities. And this party will fund the development of the first stage of the gas development. So I'm confident that market sees things differently sometimes and want action all the time. I understand that as a large shareholder. I understand that. But the overall super picture, if you like, above us, is that this is an asset that has all the right elements going forward to be an earner for our shareholders. It will take time. I'm not going to deny that, but we should be making good progress within 6 months on the next well, and shortly after that, then the development subject to the testing results, etc., which this time we're much more confident we'll get the right results. Sorry, last point is Trinidad. I should have probably mentioned Trinidad. Yes, we are. We've submitted all the documentation to the regulatory authorities. It's all been accepted. We're just waiting for the sign off by the new board of the party that has to give consent. So there's nothing else we can do, but we're pretty confident that is imminent. But I can't tell you whether it's days or weeks because that's the way organizations work, as you know. We like to work as quickly as possible, but they have to be very thorough because their job's on the line if they get anything wrong. But this will happen, and this will increase our revenue probably from September onwards.
Paul, great to talk to you as always. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Flagstaff TV.